Hi guys, Ramsey here. Welcome to another video. Today I have a special video for you guys, and I'm not just saying that. This is going to be my new office. Actually, where I'm standing is where my desk is going to be, and we just got finished building this bad boy, and I spent a long time putting it all together. I'm standing up, which is different. I will tell you that I got a request to do an entire collection video, which would probably take an entire day. You would be stuck listening to me show perfumes all day long. So I'm going to break this up into two parts. And I actually don't know how this is going to go. So if I posted it, then you know it went well, because I might not even post this. But we're going to start with Scent of the Day, like always. And Scent of the Day for me is this. Promise. And man, I love this stuff. Green apple. Which, by the way, green apple is a synthetic note. You can't extract apple. We can't extract any apple. Most fruits work that way. It's synthetic. This is a synthetic perfume, but I'll tell you what, the castoreum and in the base there's a labdanum note. This is my favorite desert gem. It's the only one I splurged for a full 100 ml bottle of. And I'm trying to wear it before it gets super hot. It was in the 40s this morning in Texas. It's gonna hit 70 today. And so I'm just trying to get these wears in before I can't wear them anymore. Now, let me show you the prize. This is what the backdrop of the office is going to look like. So again, this is about half of the collection. So if we're gonna talk about these, I'm going to have to be quick with each one. I'm not really going to be able to go through too many notes. There are two shelves down below this that you actually can't see. Well, now you can see them. So that's what we are up against. And so I'm going to be very quick to talk about each one just to show you kind of what I went for. And hopefully this helps. God help me. Okay, so the first one is Benetton Colors, which is a 80s fragrance, discontinued. This is the for men version. Very spring, citrusy, fresh. This would definitely be a summer scent. The next one is going to be Chaps. And this is an 80s fragrance. It was actually made by the same woman who made Estee Lauder's Youth Dew. This is a Schiffer fragrance they used to sell for $5. And I'll tell you what, this version here is a, whoops, let's put it the right way, shall we? This version right here is a Warner version. And I actually really love this stuff. It's a little bit powdery, but I'll tell you what, it works fantastic in the any weather, really. It's a Schiffer. I think you can wear it at any time. The next is a mini of Boss Spirit. I wish I had a full bottle of this stuff. Very hard to find. Closely related to this, Salvador by Salvador Dali. Chris from Scentland calls this Sunshine in a Bottle, and I almost have to agree with him. It has that I'm at home, everything is okay feel, if you will. It reminds me a lot of, I can see out the window and it's very distracting. I can't focus for you guys with this setup yet. I'll get it down once I'm sitting in an office in a chair and like I usually am. But it has this, you know, like Guerlain Heritage and Escada Poron. They have this, I'm just very comfortable in my skin wearing those. And Boss Spirit and also Salvador by Salvador Dali have that effect on me. Fantastic fragrance. And this is a Gerard Anthony, by the way. Probably taking too much time already. We're going to have to speed this up. Okay, next is Gray Flannel. One of the best violet leaf fragrances. This came out in the 70s. It's the only Jeffrey Bean that I own. This is one where, similar to Koros, a lot of young kids nowadays make fun of this stuff, but I actually really like this. If you know my taste, I'm a vintage hunter. And that's an older bottle, but it's a great It's a great fragrance for people who love old school masculines. Next is Rochas Globe. This is a Jean-Claude Elena fragrance, and Rochas Globe is a little bit floral, but with some very interesting, a little spicy in the top too. It almost has that Jean-Claude Elena cumin. If you like fragrances like Declaration, check this one out. If you're a fan of Jean-Claude Elena's work, Rochas Globe. Okay, next is going to be Rochas Louis. This is a summer fragrance, and I would say one of the best woody neroli fragrances. There's a beautiful neroli note in this. I'm going to definitely wear the piss out of this in the summer. Next is a hard-to-find fragrance and long discontinued, and it's called Rochas Macassar. Now, Macassar, it's the Incredible Hulk of fragrances. It's green and leathery. And you know I love my leathers. There's a leather note in Promise too, by the way. The Castoreum gives off that leather. This gives off this very old school leather, if you will. So Rochas Macassar is next on the list. Let's see, maybe I'm cutting my face off here. I'm a little too tall for this standing up. Luckily, this will be a one-time thing. Next is going to be Rochas Femme, one of the best Chiffre fragrances, and an Edmund Rudnitska. Maybe I can bring you guys a little closer to me, so I don't have to keep walking back and forth. You won't be able to see the beautiful cabinet as well, but that's okay. It'll save some time. And then we've got the worst bottle of all time. This is Rochas Man in the lava lamp, or depending on which way your mind goes. Maybe it doesn't look like a lava lamp to you. But this is a cheap take on New Harlem by Bond No. 9. If you like that, what do they call it? Syrupy pancake, that breakfast type smell. It's very sweet. That's the only thing. I think there's probably lavender and a couple other ingredients, but Rochas Man is a cheapie. I think you can pick up 100 ml for 30 bucks. And then one of the best, I would say, citrus fragrances of all time. This smells very similar to an empty bottle I found in my attic yesterday when I was going through boxes, because my wife thought it would look good if we displayed the Rojas with the silk fabric. But I found an empty bottle of Neroli Sauvage by Creed, and it smells almost identical to vintage Eau de Rochas Homme. I love this stuff. There's some florals in here too. In the heat, it is fantastic, I'll tell you that. So we're down with one row of 5 shelves, so pray for us. Next is a discontinued vintage fragrance called Wall Street. And I'll tell you what, if you like my taste, if you like old school fragrances like I like from the 80s, Wall Street is one you can still find for a great value. I'm so glad to have 2 bottles. One is a tester that Amouage got me, and the other is a splash that I bought for myself long ago. But this has this very woody, green type vibe, very 80s. It feels like you're sitting in a big conference room from the 80s with wood, wood grain desks and stuff like that. Love that fragrance to bits. Then a fragrance that I'm a little bit torn on, and that's Etruscan Water by Francesca Bianchi. It's supposed to smell like Azure by Estee Lauder, but it is a little modern, synthetic. It feels modern niche to me. I prefer the vintage Azure all day and twice on Sundays, but if you've got, I don't know, 100 bucks to burn and you're okay with a little 30 ml extrait de parfum, that's the only Francesca Bianchi I own, by the way. Next is going to be Aqua de Selva by Victor. Same company that makes Wall Street, but I much prefer Wall Street. This is very mentholic. I think maybe there's mint and something very sharp and bracing, almost like old school aftershave, if you will. Not my favorite. I'd take Wall Street over this one if I had to pick. And then we're going to go to the Lanvin, the house of Lanvin. And one is, oh crap, I forgot the name of this one. This is a discontinued fragrance that's called, what is it? It'll come to me in no time. Without my computer in front of me, I'm lost. We'll come back to this. Somebody will leave it in the comments. This, because the sticker fell off. There's usually a sticker here, but it actually came off. And they say that this smells like, Tabak. The new Tabak that came out recently from Zerjoff. And I can't remember what the name of this fragrance is, and it's going to drive me insane. This is Lanvin Arpege Homme, and this is Lanvin, came out in 2011, I think. But if you look up Lanvin, you'll find this bottle. Avant-garde, maybe? It might be avant-garde. But this is a take on Dior Homme. This Lanvin Arpege Homme. And this is like a take on, maybe like a mixture of, I would say, Amen, Pure Havane, with maybe some, it definitely has that tobacco sweet type vibe to it, but avant-garde, I think this is called. Avant-garde. But it's discontinued and hard to find. Speaking of discontinued and hard to find, next is going to be Potion by D Squared. And Potion is an Annick Monardo that has Annick Monardo's DNA in it. It also has a couple notes from Royal Oud that I really like mixed together. Angelica and Galbanum. And those two notes come together in the opening here. I think this is very similar to the release year of Royal Oud as well, which is a Julian Rascanet. But D Squared Potion has that resinous Annick Monardo feel in the base that everyone loves. Next is going to be two fragrances from the house of Molinard that I hate. Well, I don't hate them. They're just not very good to me. One is Patchouli, and one is Quia. And the leather is not very good. It doesn't seem very well made to me. I don't enjoy it. There's a note that really puts me off. And the Patchouli isn't bad. It's not a bad patchouli. It's just very synthetic and harsh. If you smell close to your skin, you'll realize how harsh it really is. There's so many better patchoulis out there, and I'll show you a couple here in a minute. Actually, I'll show you one right now. Here's a much better patchouli. This is called Patchouli Antique by Les Nereides. Nereides? We'll say Nereides. This is a fantastic patchouli amber, and I scored this for, I want to say like 40 bucks from Australia. Mine says alcohol, parfum, and aqua, so I'm guessing maybe it is the older version. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I can turn the intensity of this light down a little bit for you guys. Either way, the lighting in here is absolutely horrendous right now, so this is makeshift. But Patchouli Antique. And then I'll show you a couple of my Parfum de Marly's, a brand everyone hates. Herod, which is this very sweet tobacco with osmanthus. I wore it the other day. First time I've worn it in over a year, and I have to say I didn't really enjoy it. I guess out of the two, I guess I enjoy Lutens more. But it's just so popular. It's like a Ventus nowadays. You know, this also has a green apple note, but if I'm talking green apple, I would take Promise all day over Lutens. Just my opinion. But Lutens might be a little easier to wear in the heat. Okay, this is a sister brand of the House of Javoy, and it's called Jeroboam is the brand name. They sell these little 30 ml extrait de parfums for like 100 bucks. This is called Ligno, and this would be what I would tell someone to buy if they like, for example, if they liked Straight to Heaven Extreme by Kilian's, I would tell them to get this, because this is very similar. It has that patchouli liqueur vibe, if you will, and it's much more reasonably priced. My 50 ml of Straight to Heaven Extreme is just blasphemy. It's in the other half of the collection that's not here, but once I figure out how to do a part 2, you'll see it. This is the only bottle from the House of 4160s Tuesdays that I own, and it's called Shazam. And if I remember correctly, Shazam is this very fresh take on almost like an ambery patchouli thing, but it's like there's a freshness to it that I feel like you could wear it in warmer weather where normally you wouldn't wear a more resinous fragrance like this. So this is the only one from the house I went for. Everything else didn't really do it for me. Okay, now we're gonna go to a discontinued old school fragrance that I love, and it's called Kipling. Can you see that? Kipling. And maybe I can change the light setting on this. How do I do that? Does that help? I think that helps. We'll learn as we go. I've never really stood up and did one of these videos before. So Kipling it's like there's nowhere I can put it without that light just attacking it. So Kipling is this very traditional fougere type smell that really stands apart. I would love a bigger bottle than just a little 30 ml that I have, but I'll tell you what, I'm glad to have it, and I feel like you could wear this anytime, and I think this is the only Parfums Wild fragrance that I own. Okay, next is a fragrance from the house of Gianfranco Ferre, and it is Pontaccio 21. Look at the leather feel wrapped around this. This is a very aromatic leather fragrance. Oh, I love this fragrance, but the cap is absolutely horrendous. This cheap Italian leather smell is horrible. So when I got this, I thought the fragrance had turned. And I sprayed it and I realized the fragrance was great. And then, you know, as my friendship with Rich Mitch developed, he had the exact same experience. And it is this Italian leather. You can almost see the strokes in the leather. Like they use leather from Chernobyl or something. But the fragrance is fantastic. And that's Pontaccio 21. The name of the address of the house of Gianfranco Ferre. But probably my favorite Gianfranco Ferre fragrance is this. This is Gianfranco Ferre for man. Not for men, for man. For men is a fragrance that Pierre Bourdon did in 2006. This came out in the 80s, and this is this is one of the few aromatic citrus fragrances that I absolutely love. I would much rather wear this over like Pour Monsieur or something like that. Okay, now I'm going to go to just a bombshell of a fragrance that I recommended someone blind buy recently. And they came back and said, successful blind buy. It is this, Panache Businessman. How's that for old school? Look at that. Bring your ruler and briefcase to work, men. Look at the atomizer, so 80s. This is a fougere that is just relentless in how strong it is. It feels like there's nitro musks in here. It lasts and lasts and lasts, and I love that about it. I like my fougeres to be very sharp and bracing, and the musks in this are mind-blowing. Okay, now we're going to go to the house of Fendi. I guess I should speed this up a little bit. Let's see if we can knock out 3 at a time without knocking everything over. Okay, 2 at a time. How about that? So the first one is Fan de Fendi Homme, Fan de Fendi Pour Homme, and Fan de Fendi Pour Homme Assoluto. This is a take on like a modern leather fragrance, but it's not my favorite Fendi fragrance. That's coming up. And this is more of like an oud ambery enhancement to this. So you can see the color of the juice is actually a little bit darker here. I don't know if you can see well. That reflection is driving me insane. Is there still a reflection? How do I work this thing? Someone come help me. I'm not up to date on the times. I'm a Luddite when it comes to this stuff. Let's see, maybe if I go even lower on the light scale. Can you still see that? Does that help? Hell, I don't know. I'll have to mess with that later. Sorry about that. But if you like a modern, if you're somebody who said, Ramsey, I know you love fragrances like Bel Ami, and I know you love fragrances like Antaeus, but it's too strong for me. I need like a more designer starter leather fragrance. I would say go for something like this. But if your nose is a little bit more up to date, let's say, I would say go for this. This is my favorite Italian leather fragrance of all time. Not my favorite leather, my favorite Italian leather, and it's Fendi Uomo. The spices in the top of this are just stunning. It smells like your grandmother's spice kitchen with Italian leather that has that oily feel like Bel Ami. Beauty. She is a beauty of a leather fragrance. Okay, we're going to the next row, people. Just 5 hours left. All right, next. Speaking of the house of Salvador Dali, Salvador Dali Pour Homme. This is a Thierry Vassar with the lips. Kiss me, baby. And I will tell you what, this fragrance is absolutely stunning. There's some dirtiness here. There's some fougere, lavender fougere type touches, but it's the dirtiness that just gets me every time. If you like fragrances like Kouros, you have to get your nose on Salvador Dali Pour Homme. It's not really anything like Kouros, but it has that 80s dirtiness that I love. All right, now onto the House of Polo. Cosmere version of Polo Sport. Someone was asking how you can tell that it's a Cosmere version. Well, first of all, it says so right there on the bottom. That's not numero uno. And second of all, this is silver. So in the new versions, this is like plastic blue. And I bought one of these fragrances one day in a Cosmere box, and someone tried to slip a modern fragrance in the Cosmere box. Needless to say, I was not happy. I returned it, and I refused to buy from that seller again, and that's a huge seller. Even if it was just a mistake, that stuff pisses me off. But Polo Sport, this was big when I was a kid, and the women used to love it. Well, girls in my high school, let's say. You know, and I had many friends who used this as their signature scent. So it's a little hard for me to wear because it is very nostalgic and reminds me of, you know, mates from my locker room from, you know, basketball, football days. But it is a fantastic fragrance, and they kind of have killed the reformulation is not good. One that I like even better is Safari. And I have a backup bottle, as you can see. Safari falls in that exact same category as Salvador by Salvador Dali, as Guerlain Heritage, as YSL Jazz. They appeal to me in a way. Maybe it's because I was of a certain age at this time, and this is what men smelled like when I was a young boy, you know, enjoying playing out in you know, those long summer days that just last forever, and you know, you're really molded by those days. Maybe that's why I love these fragrances so much. But they are so good. These are so good to me, and these are both Cosmere versions. And look, it has this liqueur, you know, whiskey cup decanter vibe. Love it. Someone said the modern version was still good. And I can say I much prefer the Cosmere version. Maybe the person who liked the modern version more didn't like Oak Moss as much. Next is Polo Green. This is my favorite Ralph Lauren fragrance of all time. This is a Warner version. I've shown you guys this before. I think turning the intensity down on the light helps substantially. So this is a Warner version. And this is my backup, a Cosmere version. So there you go, Cosmere backup. And I love this fragrance, tobacco, pine. It's up there with my favorites. One that I do struggle a little bit with is this. This is Polo Crest, hence the crest. And this is a Cosmere tester that I bought off of Amouage last year. And there's something about the opening. Some say it's like a fresher, easier to wear Polo Green. I don't get that. I prefer Polo Green. This is a little bit more spicy in the opening with some it feels like there's cumin or some sort of sharpness from coriander, and I don't have the notes in front of me, so I'm trying to go off of memory, but it feels like there's some sort of spices in the opening that just clash with the pine in a way that I don't get the clash from Polo Green. There's a couple big bottles of Chaps back here. I already showed you Chaps, so I'm going to skip those. This is Burberry Touch, one of the easiest to wear fragrances of all time. This came out right at the turn of the century, and it's supposed to be for a modern man. I probably won't be replacing this bottle once it's gone. You can just, you know, lather this on in the summer. It's very likable, very white, musky. There's a little bit of violet leaf here as well. Next is a Dominique Ropion, and this is Burberry Brit Rhythm Intense. This is a modern masculine, the type that I don't like necessarily. It's a good fragrance for $18 or whatever you can find it for. But I think I'm maybe a little bit past this in my journey, but I keep it around for reference. And probably one of the more popular Burberrys, and I actually do like this fragrance, it's called Burberry Brit. I'm sorry, this is called Burberry London. And Burberry London is this port wine, ambery thing. It almost has this winter coat on, you can see. It's definitely made for Christmas. It has these spicy cinnamon, you know, stuff like that. Very Christmas vibe, very wintry, but it doesn't last long. But so what? You just reapply. This is a 100 ml bottle, and I probably have 90 ml left. So I can reapply at will, but I don't wear it very often. And then the one that I did make a dent in from the old days is the regular Burberry for men. Look at my bottle. Look at all that stuff in there. What is that? Anyone know? Well, they actually put lime juice in it. And those are, I don't know what's going on with my bottle, but it doesn't smell like it's turned. It smells actually really good. It reminds me, you know what's funny is all I can smell is Promise. Promise is so huge. But it reminds me of a specific time in my life, because I wore this a lot a decade ago, and I actually really like it. It's an easy to wear designer that harkens back to the past for me. And then we are going to go to denim from 1975, the original denim, frankincense, spices, just a beautiful fragrance. I absolutely love denim. Denim is such a great value for money. And you can score a bottle still for $100. I'm sorry, $20 for 100 ml. Steal. Absolute steal. One I have not shown on the channel is this. Philip Plein, No Limits. How about that? The $1 billion limit credit card or something. I bought this because Ashton compared it to Gucci Guilty Absolute, which I love. It's one of my favorite Gucci's. And this has this strangeness. It has this designer aquatic strangeness. Imagine if you took Gucci Guilty Absolute, added oud, and watery notes. Very strange. The first couple minutes, 5-10 minutes are tough, but as it dries down, it does get better. But honestly, Don't buy this. I mean, I'd rather just buy Gucci Guilty Absolute. And then one that is a modern, this is a newer bottle, I think. I would love to try a vintage bottle. It's Vermeil, what is this? Vermeil for Men or Vermeil, I don't know the name. Without the computer in front of me, I'm useless. But it comes in this little lighter bottle. And this is another one that I wasn't smitten with, but I would love to compare it to a vintage. So, but I can never find a vintage. So, but I keep my eyes peeled. And then, probably one of the most sweetest, most disgusting fragrances I own is 1821 Sweet Tobacco, Man-Made Sweet Tobacco Spirits. I wanted a tobacco fragrance, and this was being hyped to the hills many years ago in Fragcom. 5, 6, 7 years. Oh, God, it's so disgustingly sweet. It is so sweet. And apparently there's a wine note in here, too. But all I get is gross sweetness. So 1821 Sweet Tobacco Spirits is a big pass for me. I keep this around to remind myself how much I hate sweet fragrances. All right, most of my creeds are downstairs, but while rummaging through the attic, I found this Virgin Island water with just a little bit left. And I used this entire bottle, by the way. This was one of my summer scents long ago. Coconut and lime with, you know, maybe a little bit of rum or something. Very easy, breezy suntan lotion, you know, for a summer day kind of thing. I hear the new bottles are even worse in longevity and projection. This is a 2015 bottle. So I figured I'd keep it around for a wear before bed or something. And then a bottle of Aventus Flacon that I have completely used up, as you can see. Back when I used to wear Aventus a lot more. And then we will go to the house of Zoologist. And this is called Moth. And I actually told Eugene that I recommend that he try this because he loves powdery fragrances. And this is very powdery, very floral, very artistic, actually. If you like fragrances that change over time, check out Moth. It's the only full bottle of Zoologist I own, but there's a couple others that I want, like Bee and T-Rex and stuff like that. Now, this is a Nathalie Lorson creation for Zadig and Voltaire, and it's called This Is Him. And this is a very simple fragrance. You can see the notes right there. It is grapefruit, incense, sandalwood. That's it. Literally, that's it. And what a great incense this is. I would compare this to Encre Noire. Encre Noire is to vetiver what this is to incense. She created an amazing fragrance. This is a, even though people talk about it, this is an under the radar incense to me. Very wearable, very easy to wear incense. And it has that pepperiness that Nathalie Lorson is so good at. Okay, now we are going to go to, well, let's just get this Roja out of the way, shall we? This is Scandal. This is the old presentation. This is what Roja's presentations used to look like. And this is the Eau de Parfum. I've tried the Scandal Cologne version, and it is absolutely horrendous compared to this. So once this is gone, it will not be being replaced. But it's a citrusy take on an old school fragrance like Pour Monsieur or something like that. Okay, next is a long-lost discontinued fragrance, and it's called DK, Donna Karan for Men from '94. Very unique fragrance. It has a big floral heart in it, but these are going for big money. They're probably not worth big money. People get attached to them, kind of the same way that I said I got attached to, you know, some of the designers from the past, like Burberry. It is a good fragrance, but it's not worth $300, $400, $500. All right, now we're gonna go to Lacoste for Men from '84, I believe. This is green. This is ultra green with a huge slug of oak moss. If you're going to get this, make sure you get the one that says Sofa Par. Do not get the new Procter & Gamble version. That's my take on it anyways. Okay, now we're going to do Lacoste Land. And look at this presentation. I've shown this before on my channel, but how about that? This is a splash. And Jean Carlio created this when he was head perfumer of Patou, the house of Jean Patou, and they owned the rights to Lacoste, and he created this almost like a sports flanker. Feels like a sports flanker of Eau de Hermes. That's really the best way I can put it. Okay, now we're going to do an ultra cheapie. This is Lomani Pour Homme. Now, Lomani Pour Homme is an aromatic fougere that you can get for $7. If you like fragrances like Dracar Noir, this is a great, cheap aromatic fougere. And sometimes I just love an aromatic fougere. I mean, how about that? For $7, you can get a presentation like that. It's not bad, actually. Shockingly not bad. Okay, now on to the house of Versace. The first is Versace L'Homme from the 80s. I struggle with this one. This is the modern version. It has this pissy citrus opening that I really don't like. There is some leather in the base, but it's done in a way that's not really my thing. The Dreamer is a tobacco flower fragrance that I would like to try an older bottle. I think this is a modern formulation, but it's not my favorite tobacco. Versace Man and Versace Oud Noir are next. Versace Man has this, oh, the notes are right there if you'd like to read them. It is Neroli Bergamot from Calabria, gotta be specific. Angelica flowers, black pepper, saffron, cardamom, amber, living tobacco leaves, labdanum cysts, and cashmere woods. It is synthetic, but it's a good fragrance for what it is. You know, for the fact you used to be able to get this for 20 or 30 bucks, don't pay $200 a bottle for this. That's my recommendation. Versace Oud Noir. If you like fragrances like Oud Wood, but you don't want to pay $350 for a watered down, reformulated Oud Wood, this is an okay one to go for. But nowadays, prices are going up because it's also discontinued. And so I'd rather just tell you to go buy a Bortnikov, like Oud Maximus. And then, my favorite Versace fragrance is this. This is a powdery take on... Oh, it's so good. The citruses in the opening are so good, and then there's so much going on underneath. It's so complex. It's in the same ballpark. It's in the same year release as, like, I tell you about Heritage all the time because it's one of my favorite masculines. Imagine a more powdery, like you took Heritage and mixed it with Abbey Rouge, the powderiness of Abbey Rouge. But it's so good. This is so, so good for summer. I'm going to wear the piss out of this year. Next, by the way, wear the piss out of it. If that offends you, you're probably on the wrong channel, but that is a homage to one of my favorite YouTube reviewers, Thomas from Early Greek. So Thomas, you need to upload more, sir. The public needs you. This is Maxim's Pour Homme, and this is also a Dominique Ropion. And imagine if you took Antaeus and maybe toned the Chanel sparkle down a bit and amped up the florals a bit, and you get Maxim's Pour Homme. But a fantastic fragrance for the money. The fact that you can find a fragrance like this still for, I don't know what I paid for these, 40 bucks for 50 ml. Is a steal. You know, the prices on these vintage fragrances with the better materials and all that stuff are going through the roof. Anytime you see me with 2 bottles, you know the scent armory is stocked, and you should probably grab some before the prices go up. Next, we're going to go to... This is a strangey because I got this for $10 from a guy whose aunt died, And I looked it up, and it was selling for hundreds on eBay. And it's a Russian leather. And you know me, I love Russian leather fragrances. All my Chanels, my other Creeds, my Guerlains, you know, and the rest of my collection are elsewhere. So I can't show you Cuir de Russie today, but I can show you this. This is Del Oro Russian Leather 2 Cologne. And this was created in California. And it's actually a really good Russian leather, especially for the fact I got it for $10. I don't think he had any idea what he had. He just wanted to sell it. And he did. And I said, yes, I will have that. Okay, now we're going to do some Escadas. If you like Le Male, check out Casual Friday. Long discontinued. This is a 125 ml tester that I got from Amouage, so there's no cap. By the way, the tester or non-tester, it doesn't matter. It's the same juice. I just say it so you know. There's a reason that I don't have a cap with it. I'm not careless. I do keep my caps. But if it's a tester, I like to at least tell you it's a tester. So if you like Le Male, this is much better than Le Male. This is the reason I don't own Le Male. And Escada Pour Homme is in that same heritage DNA, same time frame. I love so much. I wish I could find the EDP. This is the EDT. The EDP is impossible to find, and it's so expensive, but this is so good. And there's a liquor note in here too, whiskey or something, that is just amazing. And sticking with the Escada brand, this is Escada Magnetism. This has this ambery, soda, you know, cola vibe in the opening that I really love. This is also a Dominique Ropion, and it's probably my least favorite Escada. It's called Sentiment, and it's this very fresh juniper thing. Not a fan, actually. And these are selling for big money. I would say do not pay big money for this, unless you're just a huge fan of fresh fragrances. I think there's pick pepper and juniper and stuff like that, if memory serves. It's been a while. Some of this stuff I'm going off of memory. So if you see anything and you want a full review, do leave it in the comments, and I will try. And I've only really reviewed one fragrance on my channel, and it's called Creed Acier Aluminum. This is Corum by Puig. And this is Oak Moss in a bottle. And this is Sybaris by Puig. And this is Chiffre in a bottle. But the cinnamon and all that stuff are a little bit too turned up for me. It doesn't feel very well balanced. So it's definitely not backup bottle worthy. Okay. Now we are going to go to a fougere fragrance that harkens to the past. It's called Milano Cento Him. And this is the EDT. If you like the opening of Koros, but you want it to maybe dry down into something a little bit more wearable, not that Koros isn't wearable. I wear Koros all the time, and I love it. But if it's too much for you, check this out. This transforms into this very wearable EDT. Well, it is an EDT, but a very wearable fougere. Okay, now we're going to do two Roger and Gallet fragrances. The first is the original from the 80s called Open, and the second is called Open Black. And they're both two peas in a pod. They're very aromatic tobacco fragrances that can be worn all year round, even in summer. I think I like Open Black a little bit more, but the original Open is amazing. Okay, now we're going to move on to the Aramis shelf. But before we do that, we are going to do Ungaro. Ungaro L'Homme 2. This is a Jacques Polge and Francois Demachy. If you like Tiffany for Men, if you like, you know, the Citrus Chanel Sparkle, but you want it maybe with a little bit more bite, this has the civet in the base that is... it keeps it interesting, let's say. Citrus fragrances bore me. That does not bore me. Okay. One of the greatest masculines of all time. Aramis for Men from the 60s. Bernard Chant. I love this fragrance. I'm so glad I have two bottles. And if you can find the older versions that say cologne, That's what you want. Before they said EDT on them. Amazing stuff. Absolutely amazing. JHL. Let's see if I can turn this a bit for you guys. Okay. JHL stands for Joseph Henry Lauder, I believe. He used to love fragrances like Cinnabar and Opium, so Estee Lauder made him his own fragrance. It has this orange note running through the middle. It's beautiful, though, for an Oriental. If you can find this older bottle, get it. Okay, next, I see the time, and it's like, oh my god, this video is going to be forever. This is Tuscany per Uomo in the vintage bottle. Beautiful anise citrus fougere Italian take. And then we've got two tobacco fragrances. One is Havana from the 90s, which is a good tobacco. Very, very unique. There's not much like it, but I actually prefer this. This is Tobacco Reserve. This is one of my favorite non-sweetened. There is a sweetness to it, but it doesn't put me off the way 1821 man-made tobacco spirits does. The sweetness here is just a touch, and the highlight is on this green tobacco. I mean, how many non-sweet tobacco fragrances do you have in your collection? Probably not that many. They're hard to come by. This is discontinued, but it can still be had for a good price. If you can get this under $100, do it. It's worth it. It's worth every penny. This is a great fragrance that not many people talk about. And then the last two fragrances are going to be Aramis Devon and Aramis 900. Devon is a beautiful take on galbanum. There's this green Schiefer quality that was popular in the 70s from fragrances like Aromatics Elixir and stuff like that. But this is almost like you took Aromatics Elixir number 19 and mixed it with Yatagan or something. Beautiful fragrance. And then this is a take on a masculine rose, and it is stunning. Oh, if you can find these older bottles, they're the ones you want. Okay, next, we are going to go to the house of Bateau Ivray. This is a musk fragrance. Musk and old school castoreum is what it feels like to me, but there's no notes. I can't find them, so it's just my own nose. Amouage has bottles of this if you want to try to figure out what the heck's in it yourself. And then one of the best leather fragrances of all time, Farina Kolnish Yuktan. Sorry about that. Couldn't help myself. All I know is this is one of the best leather fragrances ever of all time. If you're a fan of leathers, you have to get your nose on this. Smoky Russian leather, birch, tar. I mean, all Hall of Fame leather. Let's put it that way. Okay, this is also a Dominique Ropion. This is Soul by Costume National. And this is a take on oud with amber, but it's a bright amber. How many bright amber fragrances do you have? Soul is one of the best bright ambers. Feels like it's ambergris as well. Feels like there's ambergris with amber, with oud, but stunning fragrance. Speaking of Yatagan, here's two bottles. Basically forest floor with castoreum. That's what you get. You get forest floor, decomposing leaves, and castoreum. Stunning masculine fragrance. This is the older of the two bottles. Then they went to an all-white label that looks like this, that doesn't have the sword-looking thing. That's what Yatagan is. It's like a saber. And then we are going to do Caron and Bond No. vanilla, lavender. The older version is far superior. This is very harsh and synthetic to me. Very harsh and synthetic. The old version is smooth as silk. Okay, now we're going to finish out the house of Caron with this. L'Anarchiste. And this is a... this is actually a really complex fragrance from the time that I've given it a wear. It has a very interesting orange blossom. It almost feels like, doesn't this look like a gas can to you? You know, it feels like there is a, like there's a light next to you. Like, you know how Dia Man has that brightness? I think Dia even means light. The L'Anarchiste, there's something to do with this brightness image that I get when I wear this. But it's very complex. There's some woods, sandalwood, and there's vetiver, I believe. But I really like this, especially for the summer. I'm gonna do a lot of testing on this. I haven't given it a full wear yet, but I will. And then probably the most underrated Caron is Third Man. Les Hommes La... I don't know how you say that. Caron Third Man, we'll say. This is the old style bottle, and it's a tester, so there's no cap. But I will tell you that reminds me of a aromatic take on Bel Ami, you could say. You don't get the leather you get in Bel Ami, but it's such a great fragrance. And I think this is a Francois Caron creation. Okay, let's do the House of Bond number 9 real quick. Bond number 9 signature. This is like musk, rose, and oud. Bond number 9 scent of peace. This is like Aventus. And Bond number 9 New York oud. This is my favorite of the bunch and the smallest bottle, unfortunately. This is a plum rose oud combo. I actually really like this one. Okay, next we are going to talk about the House of Bijan. This is Bijan Men, and this is a vintage Bijan Man. I'm going to do a comparison between these two for you guys. This is distributed by 5 Star Fragrances. This is distributed by Bijan Fragrances, Inc. So this is the original. That video is coming soon. Okay. Midnight in Paris. One of the most famous discontinued designer fragrances of all time. It's so good. The leather note in here is stunning, but it is a designer, so expect designer quality. But I think it's a Olivier Polish. One of my favorite leathers of all time, Van Cleef and Arpels Pour Homme. God. It's a shame this is discontinued. Leather, castoreum, labdanum, rose. Beautiful stuff. And then the last two Van Cleef and Arpels fragrances are Sar, which is oak moss in a bottle, basically. This is a tester I bought from Le Parfumé. And Eau de Sar, which is like a melony, fresh 90s take on Sar. I much prefer the original Sar. I can actually wear this in the summer, believe it or not. So I wouldn't bother with Eau de Sar unless you're just a big fan of aquatics. Okay. Let's knock out some of these Amouages. The first is Myths Man. Insane fragrance, but I love it. It is chrysanthemum, rum, and ash. Who'd have thunk it, right? But it just works. Okay, next is Interlude. Here, let's do the regular Interlude. And then we'll do Interlude Black Iris. The regular Interlude... One of the best Apopanax, myrrh, frankincense, smoke. Feels like you're in an opium den of smoke, but it's just gorgeous. Absolutely stunning. Interlude Man. And then we are going to do Interlude Black Iris. Interlude Black Iris is basically interlude with the iris turned up and the oregano note in the opening turned down. Is it redundant? That's a personal question, but I will tell you that I waited until this got to discounters before I bought it. I did not pay full retail for this, whereas with most of my Amouages, I bought them instantly. It was one of the houses where when Christopher Chong was creative director, I would just buy it as soon as it came out. Next is Boundless. And Boundless is a Karine Vinchon Spena, I believe. Yeah, there's Karine's signature. And it's one of the newer Amouages, and not the biggest fan. It does have a good spicy opening. Spices, ginger, extract, and all that good stuff. But the tobacco and the amber woods, the synthetic woods left a lot to be desired for me for an Amouage. So the blind buying days of Amouage are probably gone. But before they were gone, one that is worth it. How about this presentation? Can you see the how it looks like the curtains coming up and down? What a stunning presentation this is. This is Overture Man. Oh, look at that. Look at the bottle. Look at the juice. God, this fragrance right here. Oh, so good. Grapefruit, frankincense, elemi. I think there's some animalic notes with this cognac accord. This and Creation E are two amazing cognac fragrances. Okay, next is If for Men by Sorella Fontana. This is discontinued. It's almost like a Italian take, and this is the book I was trying to tell you guys about in a previous video. I found the packaging, so I put it in there. Comes like this, and there she sits, right there. It's almost like a take on Boucheron Jaipur Homme, but maybe a little bit fresher. You know, it's tough to say because I think this actually came out before Jaipur Homme, which is no one talks about this fragrance, by the way. I guess it's a rarity. I think Amouage, I got this from Amouage at Enchanté Perfumes. He has some crazy stuff that's damn good. Get back in your hole. Okay. Next is going to be Memoirs of a Trespasser. My favorite imaginary authors. It is a very smoky take on vanilla. And get back in your home, your new home. Imaginary authors, Cape Heartache. Big strawberry. Strawberry forest. Kind of like a more modern take on Filet Agile from Serge Lutens. This is Amouage Bracken Man, one of the best modern fougere. There's a fern. The fern is literally on the bottle. Modern fougere with a twist of clove. And then we are going to do Sunshine Man. Look at that box. Looks like a basketball, doesn't it? But it's a great representation of what you get. Sunshine Man to me is an updated, better version of Eau Noir by Christian Dior. The Midnight Flower Collection. This is a made in Oman bottle, by the way. I'm very happy with this fragrance. I love this fragrance. one of the best Amouages. And then we are going to do, well, let's just knock out all the Amouages, shall we? This is Portrayal Man. This is Amouage's take on Fahrenheit. If you're a violet leaf freak, like I am, if you like Fahrenheit, check out Portrayal Man. It is stunning. It has that gasoline opening. At least the original bottle. I bought this when it first came out. And so it still has the name on the collar. I don't know if it's been reformulated, but as far as violet leaf, cade oil, stunning fragrance. Speaking of stunning fragrances, this is Jubilation 25. This fragrance, my God. Bertrand Duchaufour masterpiece. A lot of people say the best Amouage. You can tell, this is a made in Oman bottle, by the way, but sometimes you can tell dates of these Amouages by whether the Amouage name is actually sticking up when you, like it feels like it's raised a bit. And Jubilation 25. If you don't know this fragrance, you have to check out Jubilation 25. Blackberries with frankincense and oud and myrrh and every note, Divana. I mean, every note you can think of that is an Oman specialty is in here. Okay, next is going to be this. This is Journeyman. And Journeyman is a Cypriol and tobacco fragrance. And it's a Pierre Nagredin, I believe, with Alberto Morillas, but very underrated tobacco. And then, let's go to the Rojas, shall we? Well, actually, let's finish the Amouages. We've got Ciel Man. This is discontinued. But Ciel Man is a very unique Amouage because it's lavender. It's a little bit fresh. And it has this lovely, almost like springtime shower frankincense that mixes with peach. So it's very strange for an Amouage, but very wearable. One of the few summer Amouages, as you can see the dent I put in this bottle. Okay, now we're going to go to an original, an OG. This is a made in Oman version of Epic Man. And, oh my God, is it ever epic. Silk Road. Look at the box, by the way. Absolutely stunning. Stunning presentation. And then we're going to go to Beloved Man. And Beloved is also highly underrated. Elemi, frankincense, grapefruit, beautiful in the summer as well. And vetiver in the base. One of the few vetiver Amouages. All right, one of the most challenging Amouages, but one of the most beautiful boxes. Look at this presentation. Look at the presentation on that. It is Fate Man. And Fate Man, I can't get it off. Get out of here. Evil box. Okay, so Fate Man is a cumin bomb. I mean, you have to go try it for yourself, but don't give up on this fragrance. There is beauty in this fragrance. Look how beautiful the bottle is. There's beauty in this fragrance. You just have to give it a chance. Also a made in Oman bottle. So, Fate Man. And then the final Amouage on this list, and I have more, but I don't have boxes for them, so they're not here. So my Amouage collection is split, just like my Roja collection. This is Imitation Man. Too many names. I forgot the name for a second. Imitation Man is this insane take on iris, leather, castoreum. So it has that orris powderiness. So good. Look at the dent I've put in that bottle. And again, look at the bottle. It's supposed to be Christopher Chong's representation of being in the 1970s. All right, now let's do the Rojas. The first is Danger, which is Roja's take on... I can't take this off without taking it out. It sits in the silk coffin, my lord. This is Roja's take on Guerlain's Heritage. This is Roja's Vetiver, which is basically a Chiffre vetiver. This is my favorite Roja Dove of all time. This is Diaghilev. One of my favorite Chiffre fragrances of all time. I think I put it as my favorite Chiffre in a list recently. Oligarch. This is the Eau de Parfum, so it has the different cap, as you can see. But it's a very complex fragrance, but this is one of the reasons I don't own Terre de Hermes. Roja's Fetiche, which is his take on my favorite fragrance of all time, Bel Ami. I prefer Bel Ami. And then, if we go to the back here, this is Paul Sebastian Fine Cologne. This is the vintage. This is one of the most distinct musk fragrances that I own. It really stands out. There's also it's so late 70s. Don't know how I feel about that. It hasn't really grown on me yet. I showed these the other day, but this is Zonka, Bertrand Duchefort, that uses the note of lychee and peony and frankincense. This is Al Oud, which is a spicy take on an oud fragrance. Also a Bertrand Duchefort. This is Timbuktu, which is a vetiver fragrance with Karundi flower and green mango in the opening. Also a very unique fragrance. And then the one I forgot to show yesterday. So if you're a fan of my channel and you missed it, I forgot to show Zing during my L'artisan Parfumeur family portrait. Smells like a Russian, like a modern take on a Russian leather to me, but there is some animalic facets. Some people say it smells like a circus. I don't really get that, but if you're a leather fan, Zing is one worth hunting down. And if you're a leather fan, Mona Diorio's Queer is worth hunting down as well. Queer took some time to grow on me. The first couple times I wore it, I thought it was very astringent, but I wore it a few times to bed, and I really appreciate this fragrance now. I really like the leather note. Give this a shot. This is a great fragrance. Mona Diorio's Queer. And then this is Windsor Pour Homme from English Laundry. This is kind of like a take on Spice Bomb Extreme to me. Not bad for a cheapie. It's a little 50 ml bottle. And then we've got Cigar Rum by Strangers Perfumery. This is the only Strangers fragrance that I own. We have, don't fall, don't fall, don't fall, the Trio, L'Ombre de L'Eau d'Ambre Extrême, mon numero 10, and Timbuktu backup. And we've got some Krizias. Krizia Uomo, which is a green fragrance. It is a one-man show, and Krizia Uomo are hand in hand. Krizia Uomo is better quality to me, though. Krizia Moods, which is one of my favorite masculine patchouli fragrances. Oh, that's so good. I don't know who would say this is not good. Eugene. And we've got Teatro alla Scala, which, by the way, I've got the EDPs set aside since they just came in a haul, but I will do a comparison between the EDPs and the EDT for you guys one day. This fragrance, let me tell you. Oh, honey, civet, chypre. Fantastic fragrance. And then we've got two of the crazy Krizias. One is the EDT and one is the EDP. I prefer the EDP. It's just a little bit more, stands out a little bit more, but if you want a Tonka fragrance that feels a bit like, a little bit in the Obsession style, but maybe a little bit more heavily weighed on the Tonka, you have to check out Crazy Krizia. All right, we're going to do the Shiseido and Serge Lutens next. This is Basara, renamed to Basala, and then discontinued, of course, but all-time great masculine. I'll do a review of it one day. This is Musk Kublai Khan in the Bell Jar and the Palais Royal version. This fragrance bothers me. I had a girlfriend that used to wear this as her signature scent. And a little animalic for a signature scent on a woman. All right, next the Serges. We've got Rousse, which is one of the best cinnamons of all time. We have Feminite Dubois, which is one of the most praised fragrances by other perfumers of all time. This is a Christopher Sheldrake and Pierre Bourdon. We have Ambre Sultan, the best spicy amber of all time. We have Filen Agil, one of the most creative pine fragrances of all time. Feels like resinous pine sap. You're out in the open forest. Lovely stuff. And then we've got three more Serge Lutens. We have Chergui, one of the best tobacco hay fragrances of all time. Baptême de Feu, which is insane. This stuff smells like burning metal, gingerbread, men. Crazy fragrance, but I'm glad to have it. And then one of the most beautiful sandalwood rose fragrances. Santal Majuscule is stunning. I like it much better than... there's a Dior fragrance that was in the private blend, the Privés. Santal Noir? I think it's called Santal Noir. I prefer Santal Majuscule, to be honest with you. Okay, next we are going to do some Valentino Uomo. Sorry, we're going to do Valentino. One is Valentino Uomo Intense. This is a take on Iris Dior Homme style. I love this fragrance, and very Valentino, which, let me just show it to you now. Very Valentino is a take on one of the all-time, or these two are two peas in a pod, I should say. By Man by Dolce & Gabbana. Oh, that's so pleasant. This is such a good lavender barbershop type scent. This tries to do that, but it doesn't do it as well. It has tobacco and a bunch of other things in it, but it doesn't do what By Man does for me. For me, By Man is the superior fragrance, but you would pay $600 a bottle for this 100 ml. So just understand, yes, it's a fantastic fragrance. Money is, you know, it's very subjective, let's say. But I absolutely love what they did with this fragrance. Shame it's a discontinued. While we're talking about Dolce & Gabbanas, I might as well show you Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme. One of the best, what would you call this? I would say just one of the best masculine fragrances Dolce & Gabbana ever put out. But you have to get the Made in Italy version. The new reformulation smells horrible. in my opinion. But the citruses, there's a tobacco note in this that just really stands out. It's so masculine. It's so 90s masculine, but I love it. And I love the box with that velvety softness. I could just touch this box all day. How's that for a... I should name that I should name my channel that. I could just touch this box all day. Touch these fragrances. I do have the one EDP, just for reference. Date night tobacco. I'm kind of past stuff like this. And then another long discontinued fragrance, Nino Cerruti Porom. This is from the 70s, and this fragrance is absolutely amazing. Chris from Scentland, who you know has discerning taste, said that if he could make any long discontinued fragrance his signature scent for life, it would be this. Now that's saying something. The florals, the freshness, you know, all that stuff comes into play here. But if you like Givenchy's Encensé, which I'm not the biggest fan of, it is in this style. This is way better than in Encensé, though. Whoa, you get back here. Okay, some Nicolai's Patchouli Intense, which is really should be called Geranium Intense, and then New York Intense, which is if you like Bois de Portugal, you'll probably like New York Intense. I prefer Bois de Portugal, to be honest with you. Whoa, don't fall on me, baby. Okay, Idole de Luban. This is the backup sealed bottle that I have, and this is my tester. Look at the presentation on these old Idole bottles, or Luban bottles. Absolutely stunning. And now look at the new ones. Look what they've done to them. Go back to your new home. Look what they've done to the new ones. Not really much more standardized, more boring. This is upper 10, by the way, which is a really good leather. It has this strange fruit note that runs down the middle, and I forgot which fruit it was. It's like a nectarine type vibe, orangey nectarine with leather. It's a strange fragrance. It almost feels like there's like this vanilla undertone as well, but it's a great leather, actually. It almost smells like the color of the cap. Milky leather kind of thing. Interesting. But I think my favorite Luban is the EDT version of Idole, so I'm glad I have a backup bottle of that. Under the Radar Incense is this. This is a discontinued fragrance from early 80s called J. Casanova. And it is green incense from Saudi Arabia, basically. Riyadh, Saudi Arabia owned this brand. And you could totally see somebody in the Middle East rocking this. This is Romeo Gigli per Uomo. This is a Alberto Morillas before he became the person, the perfumer that just pumps out units. This is actually a really good fragrance, ambery. I'll do a full review. I'll do a full review for you guys one day. But if you can get a vintage bottle, do grab it while you can. Okay. A couple more shelves, and we're done with half of my collection. This is Zerjoff Homme. This is the only Zerjoff bottle that I own. I love this fragrance. It's so leathery. It's almost like a niche version of Nietzsche 10, which is one of the best leather fragrances of all time, and Coty created that, I believe. Speaking of best leather fragrances of all time, this is right up there. Etro Goma in the Eau de Cologne concentration. Oh, this stuff, man. For a leather lover, This is paradise. This shocked me, actually. I was not expecting what I got. And what I got is an amazing fragrance. Next is Actor, I guess you're supposed to pronounce it. Someone corrected me recently, by the House of Azzaro. Masculine Rose. I need a backup bottle of this. And then, one of the greatest masculines of all time, Azzaro Pour with the sticker on the front. Anise, lavender. So good. Spicy, sharp fougere. 1978. Fantastic stuff. Don't ask me why I have this. This is Azzaro Wanted by Night. I wanted to see what all the hype was about. And as usual, I was disappointed. Bubblegum. Just, men should not smell like this, okay? Maybe that should be the name of my channel. Men should not smell like this. Okay. If you're going to wear something more modern and you want to wear an Azzaro, wear this. Azzaro Pour Homme Intense, 2015. Azzaro Pour Homme with a liquor note, which is popular for brands nowadays when they modernize their old school fragrances to add a liqueur note. And then, the reason I don't own Gucci Rush is this. This is Azzaro Visit. This is a take on sandalwood that I actually really enjoy, and it's a cheapie. And I think it was done by one of the big hitters like Annick Minardo or Nathalie Lorson. Without my computer, I'm useless. Sorry, guys. Okay. Next is Pierre Cardin, Pour Monsieur, 1972, the precursor, in my mind, to Givenchy Gentleman, which is one of my favorite fragrances of all time. If you can get the vintage EDT with the silver label around it. Look at that. Look at that. Cheap atomizer. But the fragrance, at least the made in France version, is not. This is great stuff. Pierre Cardin Enigma, which is an interesting ambery take on a fougere. This is supposed to look like a fencing mask, but again, I don't have the rest of the cap that almost makes it look like a bomb if you turn it upside down. Trussardi Action. One of the... It's very green. I will say this. You know, I've never said this before on camera, but I will say this. If you like fragrances like this, Businessman, these two are two peas in a pod, in my mind. This is a little bit more green, but they share the same space, in my head anyways. They occupy the same space. So, Trussardi Action. And then, the only Trussardi I have 2 bottles of, Trussardi Inside. They're both testers. Inside Man. This is a Nathalie Lorson. This is an Italian cigarette with coffee. Not sweetened coffee either. Like Italian espresso. Dry. There's teak wood in here. Nathalie Lorson hit this out of the park. So glad to have 2 bottles. Look at the inside. It looks like a leather shoe or something. It's just stunning. Stunning stuff. Trussardi Python. This is an insane fragrance. Trussardi Python Uomo. This is such a unique fragrance. I can't remember the note listing, but there's all kind of crazy notes in here. Look up the note listing. I'm going to do a full review on this summer, hopefully. But Trussardi Python, and I think you want the scan-in version if I remember correctly. I think the Selective Beauty version is still good, but it's the scan-in version that you want. And then it is Trussardi Uomo, my second favorite Italian leather. Oh, this is done by Beatrice Piquet, who did Lige, L'Instant de Guerlain, and unfortunately she passed away a couple years ago. But two masterpiece perfumes, Lidge and Trussard di Uomo, separated by 2 decades. Rest in peace, Beatrice Piquet. I think that's her name. If not, I do apologize. Next, a fragrance I've never shown on stream. This is Christian Lacroix Tumulte. This is one of the best cedar fragrances. I'll do a review of this. This used to be a cheapie as well. Sometimes that happens, and this is why I am very leery of getting rid of fragrances, because stuff like this happens. This used to be 20 bucks. Now it's $200. You had to add a zero to it. And I'm talking for 30 ml, people. So, very hesitant to give away fragrances. Next is Balestra Pour Homme. This is a Joel and Waruska reformulation, and it's probably the worst reformulation they've ever done. I don't get the dirty castoreum that was supposedly in the 1970s version. I think this is a 90s reformulation. The bottle's beautiful, though. But I get just this very citrus summery. I'll wear it more this summer and report back. Hey, the first bottle that fell over. Photo by Karl Lagerfeld. Aldehydes, florals, very 90s. I have a vintage version that before they did the new font, I'll do a comparison video for you guys. KL Homme, which also looks like a whiskey decanter, kind of like the Safari bottle. Oh, somebody bought this off of my recommendation. Poe? I think his name is Poe. If your name's not Poe, please correct me how you say your name. I think it's P-E-O. But he bought 100 ml, 125 ml or something of this. Big boy. This is a 60 ml bottle. And he paid a lot of money for it. Reported back that he loved it. It's this very ambery, orangey, ambery Lagerfeld DNA. I love this stuff. And then, of course, the old Lagerfeld cologne. I have a more modern version, Lagerfeld Classic, back there too. But if you can find the one that says Lagerfeld Cologne with this font, get it. That's what you want. That is what you want. Okay. Next is Parfums. Is it Parfums Grès? Parfums Grès or Parfums Gray? I don't know how to say that. I do apologize. I'm not the most cultured man ever in Texas. But Parfums Grès, we'll say. This is Cabochard. Look at the beautiful bottle. Bow built into the bottle. And this is created by the same guy who created Aramis. Oh, if you like fragrances like Bandit, which you know I do, by Robert Piguet, check out this. This is a hidden gem, Cabochard. I'm loving this stuff right now. And then another hidden gem from the 70s. This is called Derrick in the fuel gas container, which fuel might be worth more than this stuff nowadays with gas prices. But, oh, this is so good. This is a classic 70s sharp fougere. I think there's a Nice here. Oh, I love this stuff. I wear this stuff in summer, too. It's absolutely stunning. Speaking of Parfums Grès, this is Homme de Grès. This is a green aromatic fougere with almost no lavender in it. So if you're not a lavender fan, check this one out. This is a fantastic fragrance, but there's zero sweetness in it. So modern guys probably won't like this, but I love this stuff. I'm not a modern guy. Okay. This is Oscar de la Renta Pour Louis, the best fragrance from the house ever. I'll do a full review on this as well. If you like this, check out Alain Delon Classique. they share some similarities, but the Alain Delon's a little bit more soapy. This is the fragrance they released to honor Oscar de la Renta after he died. This is called Gentleman. He was a big Domino fan, and this is actually a really good fragrance. For some reason, the opening, I think the opening has the same aroma chemicals as Boundless by Amouage. Believe it or not, no one makes that connection, so maybe my nose is broken. The opening has this spiciness that you get in Boundless, and then it goes a different direction, because this has champagne, which is almost never used in men's perfumery. That's a woman's perfumery note. One that, smelling it from the bottle, I can't wait to wear. This just came in my haul. This is Kenzo Jungle for women. This is also a Dominique Ropion. And I'll tell you what, just smelling it from the cap, my God, this is going to be a banger. I can tell already. This is a little 30 ml, but it's a vintage. It's an older version that had the small ingredient list. Then Kenzo Homme. Kenzo Homme. This is a little 30 ml bottle that I have. This is their aquatic. It's not really an aquatic, but it feels like it has some ozonic notes, let's say. Some marine notes without being an aquatic fragrance, if that makes sense. And then, the one they're probably most famous for men, Kenzo Jungle Homme. This is an Olivier Cresp. This is a splash bottle, believe it or not. It is a splash. Oh, it's so good. Spicy. Cardamom. If you like spicy fragrances, this is definitely one to put on the list. And you will see this influenced a lot of fragrances later on as well. They took this DNA and kind of ran with it. Okay, next is my favorite fragrance from the house of Victor and Rolf. This is Antidote with the Broken Atomizer. Mwah. Still sprays though, but this is so complex. There's so many notes going on. I think this would smell amazing on a woman. This would smell amazing on a woman masculine list, by the way. Discontinued, of course. But I would wear that over Spice Bomb 10 times out of 10. Speaking of Spice Bomb, the only one I have is the Extreme. Spice Bomb Extreme, the best of the bunch. You pull the grenade, pin on the grenade, and... but it's probably not worth the money it goes for, to be honest with you. And then a splash, a splash, a splash, a splash, a splash, a splash. Borsalino. This is a 200 ml splash bottle. Classic 80s. Fougere, sharp. It's good. Doesn't last forever though. 5 to 6 hours, you got to reapply, but with 200 ml, I don't think that'll be a problem for me. The only Armani I own, I'm not a big fan of the house of Armani, but this is Armani Bois d'Encens. And Bois d'Encens is incense and labdanum. That's pretty much it. Eugene says the labdanum comes out in the base beautifully. Speaking of coming out in the base beautifully, the castoreum and labdanum in the dry down of Promise is absolutely stunning. But if you're an incense fan, this is the best realistic incense, but it only lasts about 30 minutes to an hour. I exaggerate. I've got a 2014 bottle, so it lasts a little bit longer, but you're paying big money for not a lot. You got to constantly reapply. Charles Jourdan Un Homme, again, splash bottle, 50 ml. This is a Francois Caron release. I believe she was the perfumer, which she was Pierre Bourdon's first wife, by the way. And this is an 80s masculine fragrance through and through. No sweetness. Check that one out, though. That's a That's a, oh, wait a minute. Okay. All right. Well, you do your thing there, buddy. A couple Giacomo fragrances. This is Anthracite. This is also a fougere that has a problem with not really catching my attention. It's a little bit floral, but it doesn't have that sharpness that I love. I'll give it some more wears, but this is also Discontinued and also a splash. These two share something to my mind. For some reason, there's some note that just reminds me of each other. Again, probably no one else on YouTube is going to say some of the things that I'm saying, but there you have it. And finally, I have the vintage Giacomo di Giacomo in the shampoo-looking bottle to compare to the modern formulation that I hated. I hated this one, so I can't wait to do a comparison video for you guys there. And then we're going to go to Francesco Smalto. Francesco Smalto Pour Homme. Oh God, I love Smalto Pour Homme. One of the best examples of this fragrance category. Green, aromatic, zero sweetness. This is what men should smell like. Let's see, where's my thumbnail picture? This is what men should smell like, not this. That's my take on it. And that's all I got to say about that. Okay, the other Smalto I have is Malto Smalto, which is a little bit fresher. This is a splash. And if I could do it all over again, I'd probably just forego this one and get a backup of Smalto Pour Homme. This is Alberto Morillas's first creation, and it's called Homme de Café. Now, you have to be very careful because you want the one that says manufactured by COFCI. The new reformulations are crap. And that's all I got to say about that. Next is Jill Sander. Feeling Man. Mine only says man, but the next one here actually says Feeling Man. That's how it shows up in Fragrantica. Oh God, I love this fragrance. It's Dracar Noir with raspberry fruitiness, and it's more complex. I think it's even better than Dracar Noir. The House of Jill Sander had some gems, and I'm so glad to have 2 bottles of this. Thank you for the tester, Amouage. Look at the juice color difference, though. Fantastic fragrance. Okay, going to the house of Alain Delon. The first one is Alain Delon, the original from 1980. This is the reformulated classic version. This is the original without the classique, with the most giant demonstration tester not for sale sticker you'll ever see. I did a comparison video between these two last week. Go check it out. And then probably the most sought after from this house is this, Iquitos. This is a splash bottle that I have. This is a tester that I got from Amouage. And Iquitos was a finalist for Dior Poison that was rejected. And then when Alain Delon picked it up and made it Iquitos, Dior basically said that a man should not smell like this because this is for men. But it was originally created for Poison for women. So how's that for a mind bender? But Heinke, one of my followers, picked up a sample and said she was blown away by it and could totally see how there is a cult following for Iquitos. It's supposed to look like a snake's head, that shape coming at you. Donna. That's Jaws, but same thing. Donna, Donna. Okay, next is going to be the house of Jacques Bogart. We have Riviera Nights, which is a take on cardamom. I would much rather wear this than La Nuit de l'Homme, I'll tell you that right now. We have my most hated Jacques Bogart, which is Silver Scent. It's kind of in the same DNA as Dunhill Icon, but it's much cheaper and synthetic smelling. I'd wear Icon all day over that. And then we do have a good cheapie, which is Bogart Pour Homme. And Bogart Pour Homme is a take on a, I think this is a Maurice Roussel fragrance, by the way, who, he did Musk Ravageur for Frederic Malle, and he made this fragrance for Jacques Bogart, and for 20 bucks, this is an amazing fragrance. If you like fragrances like Pure Havane, check this one out. Okay, backup bottle worthy time. This is Witness. I love this fragrance. The first 30 minutes are a little tough. Believe it or not, the cinnamon and the green notes make it a little tough to wear, but after that 30-minute mark, the way everything comes together, love it. Love Witness. But it's nothing like Balenciaga Pour Homme, so don't believe that. Don't believe that lie. And then we have Ted Lapidus. Ted by Ted Lapidus, actually. This is a take on a citrus fragrance with a little bit of oomph underneath, but I'd probably just wear Tiffany's for Men or something over this. Next is Chavignon Heritage. This is not the Heritage I always talk about, by the way, but this is a good fragrance. There's a little bit of an ozonicness, maybe some violet leaf, some synthetic woods underneath, but for 20 bucks or whatever it was, this is a good fragrance. This is the type of stuff Chavignon should be putting out. And then, one of the greatest masculines of all time, we've got 3 bottles of Lapidus Pour Homme, 2 in the vintage splash, 1 in the modern. All good. I don't know how the house of Ted Lapidus and Jacques Bogart does reformulations like this, especially for so cheap. But they have done a fantastic job. But the vintage is obviously superior, as always. And then we have 6 bottles of Furio, because you cannot be without 6 bottles of Furio. Oh, God. The most tenacious civet and rose fragrance you will ever smell. It is a revelation. There is nothing more tenacious than this. This is a absolute beast of a fragrance. Animalic. It will put you off if you don't have a experienced palate, let's say. One Man Show Oud Edition, the best, maybe not the best synthetic oud, but if you like fragrances like Leather Oud by Dior, you don't want to pay big money, just get this for 15 bucks and you'll be satisfied. The regular One Man Show, which I'm not a big fan of, I'd rather wear Krizia Uomo if I had to wear this DNA, but this is a good fragrance. It's just the DNA is not for me, I don't think. And then, one that I showed in my unboxing recently, and that is Bogart Signature. Now, this is the new formulation, and this is the vintage that I got from Amouage. 30 ml and 100 ml, and I am very pleased to have a vintage formula of this. I want to do a comparison video for you guys one day, but the House of Bogart does good reformulation, so I would not be surprised if I say that these are both very close, but a great fragrance nonetheless. And then we are going to go to Perry Ellis Cologne. Now, Perry Ellis Cologne is possibly in the new version that doesn't say Cologne for Men. Can you see that? The version that doesn't say Cologne for Men right there is probably the worst reformulation I've ever smelled. So, if you can get that version, do it. The only bottle of Annick Goutal, this is Sables, the best Immortelle fragrance, straight Immortelle Soliflor there is. I love Sables. It's very masculine. And then we've got some diptychs. We have Eau Duel, Dueling Incense and Vanilla. Tempo, Patchouli and Mate Tea. We have Volutes, which is a take on Chergui. If you like Chergui, you'll probably like Volutes. And then probably the most modern diptyque is 34 Boulevard Saint-Germain, which is the name of their address. And if you like Aventus, you should just wear this, actually, is what Rich Mitch once said. And damn it, that's a good shout, Rich. Very modern compliment gathering, but you won't smell like everyone else. And then we'll go to the house of Balenciaga, everyone's favorite. Cristobal. Psyched you out. You thought it was Balenciaga Pour Homme. Well, that's coming. Cristobal is the... this is supposedly smells very close to Givenchy's pie, but I've never smelled pie, so I couldn't tell you. But I'll tell you what, this fragrance is amazing. Get it while you can. Gerard Anthony made this, and it's probably the most modern fragrance Gerard Anthony ever made, but it's not my favorite, because my favorite is coming up soon. Not this. Coming up next, this is Balenciaga Ho Hang Club, or Le Club de Balenciaga. Beautiful dark rose sheaf. And then everyone's favorite, the one everyone was waiting for, Balenciaga Pour Homme, 100 ml. And you can see my juice line is like right there. So I got a hell of a lot of wearing to do. And then a 30 ml with a similar juice line. And, my God. There's the notes if you want to read them. If you want to blow yourself away. There's the Yugoslavian oak moss Rich Mitch was talking about. Very specific. If you can't afford that and you want to try something close, there's nothing like Balenciaga Pour Homme, but the closest thing is this. A Bussin' Homme. And a Bussin' Homme is a fresher take on that DNA. It came out 2 years after Balenciaga Pour Homme, so they obviously used it as a sounding board, if you will, or they just copied it and tried to get something in the ballpark. And they did get somewhat close, especially in the dry down. After 2 to 3 hours, this gets closer and closer. The first hour to two, you might think I'm crazy for comparing this to Balenciaga Pour Homme, because it's a much fresher take on that DNA. But it's the closest thing I can recommend. There's nothing like Balenciaga Pour Homme, to be honest with you. But this is the closest you could get without buying Balenciaga Pour Homme, which is what you should do if that's what you want. Next is Marlou Carnicure. And Carnicure is a take on... it is a take on Musk's Kublai Khan. And it's a little more wearable, Musk's Kublai Khan. It's a little bit animalic, but not as animalic as Musk's Kublai Khan. And then we've got Canon Cologne, which is from the 60s, and it's a powdery citrus. Has a bit of Abbey Rouge powderiness in it. This is the made in Canada version, but I actually really like this fragrance. If you like Abbey Rouge, you should try Canon Cologne. And then we'll do some amens and we'll call it quit, even though there's 2 other shelves. This is only half of my collection, so we'll have to do a part 2. I don't want this to go past 2 hours. The first is a vintage version of Amen, back when they used to actually have Angel Men listed on the bottom. I love this fragrance. The first gourmand, if you will, for men. And then this is Thierry Mugler Pure Havane. Just buy a bottle now. Just buy it. Seriously. It's worth it. This is one of the few sweet fragrances I really love. Tobacco, honey. And then a backup bottle of Thierry Mugler Angel Men. Amen for men. Amen for men. This one doesn't say Angelman, though. It actually says Amen on the bottom. But as long as it says Thierry Mugler, you're good. It's the modern Mugler version you don't want. And then this is Amen, the taste of fragrance. Some people call this pure chili because they worked with a chef to create this fragrance, and it is this very spicy, succulent, hot take on the Amen DNA. And I love it. This is a beautiful fragrance. And then last but not least is Pure Malt. What could I say about Pure Malt? Peaty, malty with Amen. One of the best booze fragrances. I love this Thierry Mugler line. Honestly, fantastic stuff. Okay. We're going to save the bottom two shelves for the next iteration of this. It's an hour and 50 minutes in. My voice is dry. It's literally about to fall off. I hope you guys have, my voice box is about to fall out. I hope you guys have appreciated me doing this. It is a lot of time. And opening up my collection to you guys is something that I'm doing not to, show off or stunt or flex or anything like that. I'm doing it because I hope you can learn about some new fragrances. I hope you can, take notes or maybe find something else to try to hunt down, especially if you're a vintage hunter. Some of these are getting harder and harder and harder to find. And so, that's the reason I'm doing this, to kind of share my knowledge and passion with you guys. I'm not trying to be YouTube famous. I don't care how many views or likes or subscriptions I get, although it is always nice to get a like and a subscription. I'm doing it because I love fragrances, and that's that. And all of these I bought with my own money, by the way. These were not sent to me by the brand for review. The people who have thousands of fragrances up on their wall, most of them are brands that sent them those. These are mine. I bought them. I can say whatever I want about it. I can say it sucks. I can say it's good. I have that kind of freedom, whereas maybe some of the others don't. So that's why I'm doing this. I feel like there's a little bit of a niche for someone like me who is not beholden to any brands for free bottles and stuff like that. I have my own bottles. So this will be where I do videos from now on. Once my desk comes in, I will be sitting here. We'll move this back a bit, and I'll be sitting at a desk, and this will be behind me. If you think the Rojas and the Amouages and all that stuff are too tacky, I can always push them to the side and put something else there. Let me know. My wife thought they would look good, so there they are. I hope you like this new setup, and I really appreciate you watching. If you've made it almost 2 hours, cheers to you, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye, guys.